cool, man. Chosen Juan.
Oh,
That's
thank you. Yeah, yeah. This is the team shirt right here.
That's the brand right there. That's the brand.
Yeah, yeah.
Homie, that's what's up. Does everyone have one on your squad?
Yeah, yeah. Everybody on the team gets one. So yeah, that way, we can roll to powerlifting meets and stuff like that. Just feel pretty feel like a team. That way also when people are just working out at the gym, if they've never met like a team member, if they see the shirt, there's already that like bond right there.
Oh, that's what's up. And
that's
what's crazy, we did a live stream with this guy. I don't know if you saw it or not, but his name's Alex, and he's a nutritionist and trainer out of Vegas, and he does different competitions and whatnot. I wanted to ask you this: if do you think there's more accountability in doing shows to keep your body in shape, and like that's the best way for you and your crew to be in the best shape?
Dude, yeah, that's a good question, man. Definitely, because after a while, after just doing this for so long, it's kind of hard to just find motivation to just keep going. Eventually, it's gonna get kind of just boring. Fitness is a lot of the same things over and over, and you just have to switch it up somehow. And I find that competing is just really good because a lot of people they come from like some type of sports background or something like that, and just knowing that there's like a competition day that's going to be like around the corner that they have to show up and be their best at, people tend to just take it a little bit more serious with like going to sleep on time, having their supplements, getting the water intake and stuff like that.
Okay. And is that like something that you have to deal with, like in as far as training your clients? And because I mean, I'm sure it's the same, right? Like your guys, your clients, you're still holding accountability for someone.
Yeah, it's the in terms of like accountability, I would say that it some people think that it gets a little easier when you have a client who's competing, but if anything it gets a little harder just because then like nerves really start kicking in and you have to really deal with like the psychology of an athlete. That's one of the things that I really like to study the most is just like the human brain and just how to deal with different personality types and stuff like that. So that in that sense it does get harder, but it is, I would say, the most rewarding for sure.
Okay. Okay. And so you have like I'm sure this you've at least had one client like this, and we all know this guy or girl who's a type A, who's just very like I'm gonna do it myself. Just tell me what to do, Juan. Like I got this. Just I got it. Have you ever kind of dealt with somebody like that? That's very like headstrong and just kind of
Yeah, yeah, I do. I think everybody will. It happens a lot less now that I'm like I have my own personal training business because a lot of people kind of see my my content and they kind of get a feel of the type of person that I am. And I feel like when you work at a commercial gym, you just kind of get stuck with random people, as opposed to when you are your own personal brand. You tend to attract people who are kind of like minded like you. And I always preach getting help and never being too good for a coach or something like that. So rarely do I ever get people like that, but just every now and then I do.
okay. That's what's up, man. And I mean, you've been in the game for almost a decade now.
Yeah, it's
That's crazy.
crazy.
What do you do for like? And I'm sure Andy wants to know this, but what are you doing for workouts for one? Because we're all stuck at home, and then two, like how have you converted all those workouts for your clients to make sure that they get what they need out of
Yeah, so I got lucky because I've been buying a lot of gym equipment here and there. So I ended up buying a squat rack and it's a combo rack. So it has a bench press combined too. I have weights. I have a lot of different barbells. I'm pretty set. My workouts really haven't changed. The only like few things that have changed is like for lat pull downs, I have to replace that with just pull ups. For hamstring stuff, I have to do it with bands. But besides that, my training is still strictly powerlifting based, and I guess I'm kind of blessed in that sense too because for powerlifters, all we really need is a barbell, a squat rack, and a bench press, and we're fine. We don't need to have a lot of those like special machines and stuff. Now, in terms of my clients, what I've had to do for them is since a lot of my clients that I have, they're like higher intermediate, kind of advanced. My advanced clients, they take fitness so seriously. A lot of them went out and just like bought a rack. They went out and bought barbells and dumbbells and stuff like that, which is crazy because right now dumbbells and weights are like at $2 a pound. But that just goes to show like how dedicated they are. So in terms of like their training hasn't really changed much. The only difference is that there is a few clients here and there who I've just had to convert them to doing mostly body weight workouts. And in order to make sure that their gains are still progressing, we've had to increase the frequency and increase the intensity. So if they're normally training like 3 or 4 days a week, they're training like 6 to 7 days a week now. And in terms of intensity, a lot of them now have to push it to failure. I preach sub-maximal training where you're always leaving a few reps left in the tank so you can constantly progress on a day-to-day basis. But now it's, since we don't have a lot of weight, we do have to kind of push it to like the RP 10, 0 reps in reserve, all out failure.
Damn, look at that, bro. Like he spits it out. Ron is not even like, do you even think when you say all that?
Dude, not really. It's funny. Somebody just asked me about that too. Yeah, somebody
like, yo, like, 0, like I just want you to have a couple, here or there, just do this 6-7 times a week. You should be good. All right, I can do this in my sleep. I mean, really, like, it's probably like muscle memory, no pun intended here.
Dude, yeah, it really is. I had a client, right, who I asked him to film himself like a video of himself talking about this new supplement. And pretty much I have a private Facebook group for just my clients. It's where I put my most exclusive content. And I told him to record a video of himself with this supplement and just like kind of review it. And he was like, dude, this is like so much harder than I thought it was. Like, this is a skill to like talk on the camera, have like, even just doing this podcast, this is a skill. And I don't think a lot of people actually see it like that. It is something that you have to constantly work at to get better at.
100. And like that, the fact, like, do you have that? Because that sounds like an awesome relationship with client and trainer. I guess just relations in general. It sounds like you're really close with your clients.
Yeah, dude, that's one of the things that I really wanted to do coming into my personal training when I first developed my business. Is I didn't want to make my brand about myself. I didn't want to be Juan Salgado Fitness. I wanted to create a culture. I wanted to create a community because I just feel like that's the thing that's going to stick around. Like there's a lot of trainers that I saw where they have clients who just come and go. And that's just because they are just trainer and client. But me, I knew that if I built a family, if I built a community, now, like if they end up canceling their personal training, they're not just canceling on me, but they're canceling on a family. So yeah, that's why I decided to go this route where I get close with all my clients.
Do you like, are the people that you coach primarily powerlifting only, or do you have all types of tiers?
Yeah, I have all types. It's probably is a majority powerlifting clients because that's just what I've attracted. But what's interesting is a lot of people just come to me for just like general fitness, hypertrophy, trying to build muscle, lose body fat. And then they end up getting such good results and they end up just being around so many powerlifters that a lot of them end up competing just from being around it so much.
Oh, nice.
Were your parents into fitness, dude? Because like I don't think we've gotten into that. Like this is so seeing you're just boom, 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 boom. Was that all around you? Because we're like our environment in a lot of cases.
Kind of like when I first started the gym, when I first started going, I was so young, I didn't even have a job. I had to have my mom come sign me up and like sign all the paperwork and stuff like that for me at the gym. And since she was there, she just decided to join with me. And me and her just kind of like learned this whole thing as we went along. And now my mom is in really good shape as opposed to like my whole life growing up. Not so much. It's just something that just started happening because I started doing it. I started buying like chicken and brown rice. I started telling my mom like, hey, I need a ride for the gym. Can you like take me? And she would just work out on her own. My dad doesn't really work out much at all though, to be honest. I'm trying to help him, but he just doesn't want to.
Dang, that's freaking nuts. Like, just, I don't know. It's your chosen path. And it's cool to see you just kind of like, again, just comfortable. You know what I mean? Like, has it always been like that for you or because I know I've been through different adversity. Andy's been through different adversity. And especially coming up, when you're trying to figure out what you want to do as an adult, like what are some things that you took under consideration to know that, no, this is for me. This is where I am. This is what I want to do.
Wow, dude, that's a really good question. Yeah, man, it's awesome. I always say that everything that came from my life, everything good that I have is because of fitness. When I first graduated college, it was probably like the most confusing time in my life because I just legit didn't know what I wanted to do. I was so confused and I felt like everybody at my age at that time, it seemed like they did know. Everybody was like going off to college. Everybody was already like talking about what they wanted to major in. And I had to go to community college and I just legit didn't know what I wanted. So I started realizing that the only thing that I cared about was fitness. Like I was in algebra class, like reading articles. Sometimes I would actually skip class to like watch like the Hodge twins on YouTube. If you guys remember who the Hodge twins were, They're like one of the OG fitness YouTubers. Like when their new videos would come out, dude, I knew that I couldn't go to class because I would be so excited to watch this video. I wouldn't even be able to focus. And it just got to the point where I was like, dude, this is what I want. There's nothing else. I'm going all in on this. Like already, why not just decide? Why not just make this my career path? And yeah, it didn't take too long to figure that out. And ever since then, it's been history.
That's crazy. And like, I mean, I can't imagine this, dude. You're swole. But I mean, like in school, did you have like bullies, or like when you said that you wanted, I wanted to be really, really fit, like, yo, I'm that guy. Did you have anybody that was like, yo, I'm a naysayer, like, nah, bruh, like you sound crazy, go back to chemistry class?
Dude, so much, because in high school I used to play basketball, and yeah, and since I'm only 5'6", and the one thing that coaches used to tell me all the time is that, dude, you're obviously not going to grow anymore. The only way that you can stand a chance is if you build a lot of muscle. And dude, in high school, I hated working out. I hated weight training. I didn't like it at all. So every time that I would kind of get into it, I couldn't. And I was always known as that skinny kid. I always tell people that, Juan in Santa Ana, California, it's a common name. It's predominantly Hispanic. So whenever people would say like, oh, do you know Juan? They'd be like, which one? And they'd be like, oh, the skinny one. And dude, I just got sick of hearing that, man.
Oh, okay. Is that where like the Chosen Juan came from?
No, so that's a funny story. So,
here we go. Get the popcorn.
Yeah. So, okay. So the story that I tell now is that one of my favorite movies is The Matrix, and in The Matrix, Neo is called the Chosen One, and I'm all about like the universe and like just like being able to manifest things and being able to just speak things into existence and overcoming the mind, being able to do anything that you can imagine, right? And that's pretty much what the whole movie of The Matrix is about, is Neo just coming to learn that, hey, like this world is not how we perceive it, and it's all in the mind, and I could literally do whatever I want. And he was called the Chosen One. So that's kind of what I tell people now. But in reality, to be honest with you, I used to be a security guard at Ross, and I was at the front like door, like just watching, greeting everybody when they come in. And this girl who went to my high school, who was like now a crackhead, who I hadn't seen in like 5 years, came in and she was like, "It's the Chosen One," and then she ran away. I never saw her ever again, and I was just like, "Damn, that's a pretty cool name." So I ended up changing my Instagram name and just called myself that. So it kind of went really well with tying it together.
It was based off of the crackhead. Okay. Yep. That's what's up, man. That's actually a good story. Cool. Like she's watching this right now going, I knew it. I should have gotten crack from him.
Yeah, and it's funny. Never saw her ever again after that.
Oh, man.
Funny. And do you have like, because I know you're business oriented. You love having mentors. Like we talked about this a little bit on your live. Who are some of the people that you're like, oh my God, if it wasn't for them and this exact example or lesson, I wouldn't be where I am today?
Oh man, dude, there's so many people, man. Oh God, if I had to start from the very very beginning, I mean, I would say it was somebody named Dr. Eric Helms. He's one of like the OG fitness coaches. He was literally one of the very first online coaches. Before like online coaching was a thing, he was one of the first ones out there. And I've never gotten to meet him. I've gotten to talk to him through like email and stuff like that. But he preached evidence-based approach, like none of that like bro science crap, like a legitimate science. And if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would have made it this far, because there's a lot of coaches out there who just preach like random bullshit that's not even legit. I'm sorry, can I cuss in this, by the way?
No, yeah, you can.
Oh, okay.
We're there. It's all good. Yeah, go ahead.
Cool. Dropped 100 followers, but it's all good. No.
Cool. So yeah, they he really preached the evidence-based approach, and I think that's what really separated me from a lot of coaches, was just having like actual data to support the things that I talk about. So I would say he's one. I would really say it's one of my best friends too, Alex Gomez. He's been like awesome, man, because like how we were saying earlier, that environment is everything, and who you surround yourself with is who you're going to be. They always say that I could tell a lot about a person by just who they hang around with, and he's like just like me. He's like grinding. He's finding his own way in his life, and my current mentors are Chris and Eric Martinez. They're the ones who just taught me everything about business. If it wasn't for them, for sure, my business wouldn't have taken off this quickly. So yeah, shout out to Chris and Eric. They're dynamic duo training on Instagram for those of you who are looking for some like good mentors and stuff. Yeah.
That's freaking awesome, man. And like, what were some of the, I guess, biggest struggles that you had? Because I mean, business is universal across the board, but I think what makes your journey so special is you're not afraid to just speak on it.
Yeah, dude, for sure. Dang, thank you for noticing that. Yeah, it's true. I one of my other mentors that I had was John Romanello, and one thing that he said early on too was to show vulnerability, like show the journey. That's something that Gary Vaynerchuk also preaches is to tell people like the ups. You're gonna tell them the ups. Make sure you tell them the downs too. As far as one of the struggles that I've had, I'm actually very blessed that this was my struggle as opposed to like other things that most people go through in their first year of business. But I would just say it was setting my standards like really low. Like I constantly kept hearing people say that, oh, you know, most businesses don't become profitable in their first year. And I didn't realize just like how much like power that I could have, like, and how much influence that I could have. I didn't think that I was like capable of that. I thought that maybe it would take me years to get there. And dang, before I knew it, like it just started growing and picking up so fast. And when you're experiencing it, you really don't notice it until it just like you just stop and like really figure out, like just look in the present and see everything that's going on around you and hearing what other people are saying about you. So it was just that if I could have gone back, I would have told myself, dude, just don't even be afraid. Like you're gonna be fine.
That's awesome, dude. And like, you haven't, is there a time, because I mean, you're at the 10-year mark, obviously you're profitable, you're doing good, and this hasn't affected you. Everything that's going on in the world, it hasn't affected you at all? You and your business?
Nah, I would say, man, it sounds so selfish, but if anything, I would say that it's I've grown a lot. I've done a lot of self work in this time. I've learned a lot about myself and my business and where I want to take it. So while my business has taken a hit, while I have lost a lot of clients, I could already see it being better for me in the long run because I was so caught up on just trying to work with so many people and trying to make a lot of money that I completely forgot about like working on myself, like reading, meditating, researching about fitness, about the things that I love. And now that I've been able to slow down and just take a step back, I've been able to learn so much about myself now, and that I know that I need to slow down a little bit. I need to be okay with like just not making so much money right now if it means making more in the long run.
Got you. That's mad true. Like, I don't know, Andy, do you meditate?
No, I get up and I just start going, man.
You start going, yeah. That's
But
like
I paint. Well, I guess I do because I'm a painter, and so when I paint, that's like my meditation. It's pretty wild. But like I could go hours and hours just jam out to music and then paint and go into a whole different world and zone. So that yeah, I do meditate on a different level of things, you
that's
know.
meditating. Yeah. That
Yeah.
definitely still is.
Yeah, there's a lot of different, I guess depending on who you ask, there's a lot of different ways to define meditation. There's a lot of different types of meditation. I would say like just one type of meditation that everybody can do is something where it just kind of brings you back to the present moment. And yeah, painting and listening to music is that because you're not really thinking about much. You're just pretty much being still and in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And so like, when I think I've always seen you in the gym, do you have like anything that is your like hobby or like anything that you do on the weekends that would be a surprising thing that people wouldn't expect out of personal trainers?
Nah, dude, and I think that's why I've been able to be so successful is that I don't like doing much. Like I love reading, I love working out, I love meditating, I love researching, watching YouTube videos. I don't even really like watching a lot of Netflix shows. There isn't much that I like to do, and I think that's like literally been a huge advantage of me getting this far. Is that I'm not one of those people that has to go out to the bars every weekend or like just go to all these movies, go to Coachella, none of that shit. You know, I love grinding, I love working, and that's what just makes me feel good.
Yeah, it seems like you just love the process, and like whether it's not about the destination, you're just so into the how am I making my client list, how am I creating their workouts, their nutrition plans, and so on and so forth. Like that seems to be your zone. is right there.
Yeah, dude. And fitness taught me that. You know, you're not going to make it far in fitness if you're just only focused on the end result. You have to love the sore legs in the morning. You have to love the sound of the weights, going to work out, and it being a busy gym. You have to love all the little things about the process. And that's the same thing with business too. Is if you don't love the whole entire journey of it, you probably aren't going to make it to the end.
So I think one of the trainers. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, what's your as far as like for you yourself, what's your intake food wise every day? Because powerlifting is like crazy. Like you guys have
You gonna tell them about your Sour Patch Kids?
Yeah,
Tell them about your Sour Patch Kids.
that's funny. No, that's not me. That's some of my clients. So pretty much, one of the common myths about powerlifting is that a lot of people see powerlifters and they see these like big 300-pound guys, and I think that that's just kind of that's kind of who we see online, because those are the strongest ones, right? Like the 300-pound guys are usually the ones that are squatting like 1,000 pounds, and that's not really the case. Some of the best powerlifters, some of the best natural powerlifters, I swear they look like bodybuilders. In fact, some of the best powerlifters did compete in bodybuilding. So the diet isn't really that different from somebody who's trying to get in shape and build muscle. The biggest difference I would say is just how much of an emphasis we put on peri-workout nutrition. So like pre, intra, and post workout. So my diet, it still has a lot of protein. I do have meal frequency, fruits and vegetables. The one part that is different that I would say is just the like I said, the pre, the intra, and the post. So my pre-workout meal is a lot of carbohydrates, and probably a lot of bodybuilders that I know of, they usually like training more fasted, or probably with like very little food in their stomach. Intra workout, I am having like some type of carbs, like a Gatorade. Some people might see that and they'd be like, what the heck? Like, that's sugar. Like, do you really want to eat that? The reason why you see the Sour Patch Kids is because I have some clients who will have those like.
I literally have walked in and they're like, I was like, what is this doing on the counter? What is this?
Yeah, so I want to shout out my client, Fluffy. Fluffy is a really strong guy. Yeah, dude benches over 400 pounds. He's probably going to break the state record bench come August. And he has a really, really fast metabolism. Like he has to eat 4,000 calories a day to lose weight at like an appropriate rate. And in order for that's around like 400 grams of carbs. In order for him to be able to like stomach that much food, he has to get some like low fibrous foods that aren't going to like sit too long in his stomach. You know, it's going to be really hard to eat 400 grams of carbs of rice, beans, and oatmeal and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, having the Sour Patch Kids during the workout, it's an easy, quick way to just get 80 grams of carbs done. It gives you enough energy to finish the whole workout and stuff like that. And in terms of like post-workout nutrition, I also like having a lot of salt and stuff, like stuff with a lot of sodium, a lot of electrolytes. Again, something that a lot of bodybuilders are afraid of, even though I know that they can benefit from it, because having a little bit of extra bloat and stuff like that during your workout, it does help you stay a little less lethargic. It does help you push a little bit longer. It kind of makes your muscles puffy, where you almost get this like really like nice little spring off the chest when you bench press, or a nice little like stretch reflex when you go down in the squat, and you're able to kind of bounce up a little bit more. So having a little bit of bloat during the workout and stuff like that is good, and it keeps you hydrated, so you don't have to constantly keep going to the bathroom and peeing and stuff.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I saw him on Instagram when you guys were doing your live. And
really?
With you on there.
Yeah. One is no joke. And so I ask you this because let's say I kick another person in here and they're completely new at it, and they go with whatever's like trending or whatever, and all the things that you're saying, most people would say no to. Like, I'm not supposed to have a lot of salt in my diet. I'm not supposed to have a lot of carbs. Like, why is that you're saying that and they're hearing completely different?
So I think it comes from the people who really preach like bro science in the fitness industry. Yeah, just to be quite honest, it's a lot of people who are taking steroids, and pretty much it's what works for them. It works for them because they have good genetics and they're taking steroids. So pretty much it doesn't really matter so much what they're doing. They're just them doing something, they're going to see results. And they're going to end up preaching what's worked best for them. And most people are going to listen to somebody who looks like really, really ripped, right? So that's why I think a lot of research is like a lot of things that get pushed in the fitness industry that isn't necessarily true. It gets spread so easily because just of who they're paying attention to, right? Nobody's going to pay attention to like a guy in a lab coat who you can't really see his muscles and stuff like that, using really big words online. It's so much easier to just listen to the guy that says, hey, don't eat carbs, rather than the person that's like saying all these like really big words and stuff like that.
Mhm. So just feeding into the noise.
Yeah, and also I don't think a lot of people can like really even know how to like read data too. When you really look at a lot of the studies, virtually anything works. It's just that the context of which you want to do it in. So for example, like people think eating carbs is bad, but it's like the studies that have showed that eating carbs are bad, they're giving people a lot of carbohydrates and very low protein, and they're probably not eating. They were probably already had some like issue, like disposed issues of like diabetes and stuff like that. But when you see people who are in a calorie controlled diet, they're working out, they're having a lot of protein, right? The carbohydrates in fact help them. Carbs do help you with a little bit more energy. They help you push a little bit more during the workouts. They make you look fuller. In the bodybuilding shows, a lot of people don't know this, but during the bodybuilders have something called a peak week. That's where like the week before the meet, the week before their competition, they end up cutting out carbs, just kind of get that like really, really dry look. But as a result, their muscles look really deflated and they looks really small. Then what they do on the day of the show is they carb back up, and they end up having a lot of carbs to give them that like full vascular look. So yeah, carbs are really good. It just depends on the context in which you do it in.
What about creatine? How are you with like creatines and stuff like that? What's your take on that?
Yeah, so funny story. My very first time hearing about creatine, I was in high school, right? And there was this football player on the team he was the very first guy on the freshman football team to bench the 45s. And when you're like 14 years old, benching 135 is like crazy. So
Mhm.
everybody's just like, dude, how is this guy able to do it? And this guy also happened to be like really mean and like had like anger issues. So then he like one day came out that, oh, dude, the reason why I'm like this is because I take creatine, and like everybody thought at that point like, oh snap, creatine is like really bad for you, like, right? Like it's like it's almost like a steroid. And I think like a lot of people still kind of think that when they hear about creatine, they hear that it's like something that's bad for you, that it's not natural, and that it causes you to bloat. But again, when you look at the research, creatine is one of the best supplements. It probably not the best supplement, the most researched one. It does help you build muscle. The bloating that it causes, it's not even visible to like the naked eye. Like you shouldn't even be able to notice it, and we would be able to. I highly recommend it for anybody. If you do take it, take creatine monohydrate. Make sure that when you buy it, there's no other ingredient on the label besides creatine monohydrate. The coolest thing about creatine too is that it's the best supplement out there for sure, and it's actually the cheapest. You can buy like 2 pounds of creatine monohydrate for like $20.
Yeah, the powder. Yeah, actually, I was taking the creatine with a spoon of honey because the sugar transports to the bloodstream and everything faster. I think, at least that's what somebody told me.
Yeah, and like with creatine, really the most important thing too is that you're just very consistent with it. Like you want to make sure you take it every day too. It's something that it's not like caffeine where you feel it and then 20-30 minutes later you already feel the effects. With creatine, it's something that it probably takes about like 5 to 7 days to actually get into your muscles and get your creatine stores completely filled. And then after that, you want to take it year round. It's not really something that you can that you have to cycle off of.
Right, that's cool.
That's crazy, dude. I mean, like he just spits. Juan just goes. He could just go for days here. Would you ever get like, and this is just like question hour for you, but I love it because we get to see like what a day in the life of a personal trainer is. Um, the whole like traditional, I go to school, get a degree. Was that ever something that went through your mind?
Yeah. Oh, dude, for sure, big time. And it's I realized that the reason why I wanted to do that, it wasn't even because it's something that I wanted to do, like for myself. It was something that everybody threw at me. That's what the world, that's what society tells you to do, is that you have to go to school. That's the only way you're going to be successful. And I just kept realizing that, man, I was sad. It seemed like the only reason why I wanted to go to school was because just to be able to tell people that I went to school and that I graduated. But when I really just started looking around, I'm like, dude, why are all these people that have these degrees like not happy? They're waking up at like age 35, age 40, and they hate what they do for a living. And it took me a while to realize that. But once I realized that school wasn't the route for me, that's when I was really able to just like make a quantum leap in my life.
That's incredible. Someone who knows themselves. That's the guy right there, Andy. This is the guest right here that really knows himself. And like, I could just see it, like the experience, the thought, like you actually take the time in your life to do that. What's probably like one of the biggest things you've noticed from those around you, or let's just say in your like graduating class, that if you guys were to meet up now, that you've been able to take on as a life lesson that they struggle with?
I would say honestly it's the school thing for sure, because a lot of people think that you're guaranteed like a job right after school and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people also associate their character with their job. It's almost as if like, hey, or like me, like I don't like to associate myself as like Juan the trainer, right? I'm Juan, like my job doesn't say who I am. My value isn't with my job. And I think that's like the thing that a lot of people do, is that they place their value with their career, with how much money they make and stuff like that. And you'll just never find happiness like that, because it could be taken away from you. Like my job could be taken away from me, you know? And when you do that, you have this like false sense of identity, and you don't even know who you are anymore. So I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen a lot of people my age make, is that they think that the only way to find happiness is like going down this traditional route of school.
Uh, is that something that you also like notice with people just being like in the quarantine right now? Because I can imagine, you know, this is a huge shift. For one age group, it might be a technological shift, just getting on here and doing Zoom. Like if I had to be a new client for you, you know, how do I use this thing called Zoom? Or like, oh crap, my job, I can't go to work every day. You know, have you kind of like seen that?
Yeah, for sure. And that's why, you know, one of the most important traits that I think anybody can have is that you just have to learn how to adapt to anything that life throws at you. You you have to expect the unexpected. And that's why I don't think that this is, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think this whole situation is going to be very bad. I think we're going to end up learning a lot about ourselves. And at the end of this, you're really going to see some people who grow a lot from it. And there's going to be some people who just like, you know, shrivel, and they just like appear in the clouds and stuff like this, disappear in the clouds. And yeah, so uh, I think you have to learn how to adapt. I see that with a lot of people who are just like struggling, because they were like, a lot of students were waiting to graduate, waiting to go and get their go do the ceremony and stuff like that. And now they have to do their ceremony through Zoom, and it's tough, but that's just what's going to happen. And I think that if you really look at history too, there's always been something like kind of similar to this, where it just changes like the whole course of history.
Yeah. And
Well,
it's,
on the positive note, you're gonna have a lot of people that bulked up over this time, right? So you got a lot of work ahead of you.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people are saying. Like I saw this meme on Instagram that said that most people are gonna either come out 10 pounds heavier or 10 pounds lighter. So
yeah, I heard it was called like COVID 15 or something like that.
yeah, like the freshman 15, but they're gonna call this the COVID-19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you take on? Because I know you're not someone that's taking on more clients, or would you make an exception to that?
Not right now. I think I would only take on a client if they are if we really mesh, like, and not to sound messed up, but only if they're really going to help push my brand forward. I think I've like got into that like place where I don't have to just take on anybody. I Right now I'm happy with the team. I'm happy with the people that I have around me. And I'm only going to want to take on people who are probably like powerlifters, or people who are already well established, probably people who have like a good following, or honestly maybe somebody who I just feel like is just going to mesh really good with me and the culture that I've created around me. So yeah, it'll be tough. I do have kind of like a whole interview process of who I take on and stuff like that. And yeah, that's probably the only way they'll be able to get on my team.
Are you more likely to take somebody on that you've been like kind of privately health coaching or whatever on the side, and then for a while, and now you've gotten to know them and they know you really well, and you guys kind of just became really strong after that?
Also, well, right now I'm still online coaching people. Um, in terms of like if what was the question? If I would take on somebody who I've been like training
Say
on the
you're
side?
online coaching somebody for like a year or something, and you guys like really blend, and you're really cool and tight with this person, and they wanted to excel to the next level, and they've been thriving to be on your team.
Gotcha.
You would probably, I mean, I'm guessing you would probably more likely um, uh, entertain that,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, yeah. So it's actually works for me the opposite. Most people actually start off in person and then they transition to online. I have had a few clients who are online and then they want to transition to in person. And honestly, if I feel like they're really advanced, I actually feel that they won't benefit so much from the in person training.
Right.
I actually feel like they'll be better off on their own because for a powerlifter, even a bodybuilder too, that when you really get to this advanced level, your workouts are like really long. Like they can push up to like sometimes I've had workouts that are legit like pushing the 3 hour mark. And as a trainer, I can't really be there with somebody for a whole 3 hours. That like cuts into my schedule like a lot. So no, most people start off the opposite. They're in person. They get what they can out of that, and then after that, they transition to online. And the online, it's also really cool too because then it's a little cheaper, so they don't end up spending as much money too. So that's also really cool with them because they're able to be able to invest in this a lot longer.
That's awesome, man. And like, what are some of those things that like you interview? Because I'm kind of curious. Like, what's this interview process like? I like this.
Yeah. Oh, so one of the last questions that I ask is, what's your favorite movie? And I actually got this from one of my coaches, and I asked him like why he did this in his like application, and he says it's just a primer. Like this is a really good way of not only like breaking the ice, but just seeing like what kind of conversation like you can start with them. Like if somebody tells me like, hey, my favorite movie is 50 First Dates by like Adam Sandler, and like we can have like a really cool like just conversation off of that, then I know that hey, we will probably be able to really hit it off like when we meet in person. Because I really only when you're a trainer and you train somebody, like you guys spend a lot of time together, and if you guys don't have like personalities that mix well, it can be like really awkward. And those clients usually don't ever end up lasting long. So that's one question I ask just so we can like have a conversation. I can kind of see a little bit of what kind of person they are. And then the next thing that I ask too is why they want to do this, why they want to powerlift, or why they want to lose weight. And not to say that anybody's reason is like a bad reason, but there are some stories because I do consider myself also a storyteller. There are some people who have stories that I know that are just going to be really good stories to tell to motivate other people. And those are the people that I really want to take on. People who I feel like are going to have really inspiring stories. So, for example, one story of a client that I constantly tell is I have a client named Jeremy McMillan, and he when he first came to me about 2 years ago, he was a veteran. He had a really bad back. He had a bad knee, bad shoulder. Almost every doctor told him that he'd never be able to lift a weight again. And there was one doctor who saw him and said that, dude, you actually going into the gym will be a good thing for you, but you need to go and find a trainer who actually knows what he's doing, and you'll be able to come out of this a stronger person. So he found me. We started working together. He was so bad when I first saw him. He could barely even walk. And sooner or later, he started getting more muscle. He was able to finally deadlift. He was able to stand up straight when he walked. He was able to start running a little bit. A year and a half after that, he broke the state and the national deadlift record. When just 2 years before that, the doctor said that he'd never be able to walk again. And that's like a story right there that I want to tell everybody that I love telling. Those are the type of people that I want to work with. And he's 40 years old, which is crazy too. So it goes to show that like age is really just a number. It doesn't even freaking matter. It just depends on how bad you want it. And like I said, I prefer to work with somebody like that as opposed to somebody who tells me like, yo, I just want to look good so I can fuck bitches.
Oh man, have you gotten that?
Oh yeah. And you know what? I'm partially to blame too, because I like to talk about things online, about things that most trainers don't talk about, and I have talked about that before, where hey, like if you get in shape, you probably will increase the chances of girls that you get with. Now you will get more guys who probably compliment you, but like it is a plus, it is a bonus. Don't expect to get a bunch of girls, because there is other things that you have to work on. You do have to work on like your self development, right? You have to make sure you look good, dress nice, and stuff like that. And yeah, so I think like the type of like content that I've talked about, I'll get people who, when I talk to them, that's like one of the things they tell me about. They try to mask it and say, oh no, I want to do this for myself and just so I could feel healthier. But if we're being completely honest, hardly anybody in their 30s and under works out to be healthy. We work out because we want to look good and we want to feel good and we want to feel alpha.
Exactly. I mean, come on. It's like, oh yeah, I really want to be healthy, and I like have a healthy heart. Stop bullshitting me, man. Stop it.
Yeah, shut the hell up. You want to fuck.
Why does it have to stop at the 30s?
Because after 30s, from my like personal experience, at that point, like it just really settles in for most people. Like 30 is young, for real. Like I said, my client Jeremy is 40. 30 is young. Some of the best bodybuilders, shout out to Jeff Alberts. He's the 3DMJ Godfather on Instagram. He's one of the best natural pro bodybuilders, and he's like in his 50s. It's just that for some reason, like, and I think it's like Instagram and stuff like that, that if we don't have like our life figured out by age like 20 or something like that, it's like we're useless or whatever. So for a lot of people that I've gotten, it's like once 30 hits them, they're just like, oh dude, like damn, I gotta really worry about my health because I'm getting old and stuff like that. And like they stop almost like caring about the other like little things and stuff.
They get more tunnel vision.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. I mean, like, you bring up a very, very, very hot topic. Huge hot topic. And I don't even think you realize how huge that is with not having your life together by 20. Like, that's a real thing. How do you overcome that with your clients if they're in that situation?
That's it takes so much work to do that. And I really recommend that a lot of people go to like therapy and stuff like that. It's always hard like convincing people to do that because like I don't know why, but like people don't want, it's hard for people to go and ask for help. But from people that I've known that have gone and like talked to somebody, they're usually the ones who end up just getting the best results. So that's something I always tell people, and I always tell people that I'm just a trainer. I'm not an expert. Sure, I've done a lot of self work. I've read a lot of self-development books, but I'm not a therapist. So what I just tell people is that one of the best things that you could do is just not compare yourself to anybody. And if that means like just staying off of Instagram for a little while, then so be it. Now, I'll be honest too, I haven't even really, people that I've told probably stay off of Instagram, even they don't see the best of results. I don't think it's something that it's just easy to fix like that, like deleting your social media or even just reading books. It's something that's going to take a lot of years of work.
Yeah, that's freaking awesome, man. All right, well, Juan, I want to ask you two last questions here because I know you got to jet out. One is like, when all of this is all said and done, where do you see taking your brand going forward? Like, what's the next steps 5-10 years down the line for the Chosen Ones?
Yeah, good question, bro, man. If you would have asked me that like a year ago, I would have had this like really, really long response. I would have told you, dude, I want to be the best trainer. I want to have this huge gym. I want to have coaches work under me. And now, dude, I'm just happy living in the moment. I'm not even really thinking so much about that. Like, the goals that I've had 5 years ago have changed. Like, the goals that I've had 10 years ago have changed. Even the goals that I had 3 months ago have already changed. So I don't even like thinking about that so much anymore. Like, about where I'm going to be like at the end of this all. Yeah. Right. A lot of the things that I wanted to be, like, I've done it. I've changed people's lives. People have told me that I'm the best personal trainer that they've ever worked with. I've made a lot of friends. So I don't even know. Wherever I am, like, I just hope that I'm happy.
That's awesome, man. That should be right there. Wherever I am, I want to be happy.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, that's his tagline. Wherever I am, that's fantastic. That's really good. We're gonna put that in there. Yeah. And then, because people are dealing with this situation, And you know, we talked a lot about self-development and having the correct mindset and whatnot. If they're going to tune in for one piece of you and see the chosen one right now, just this last piece, what would be something that you do or that you commit to yourself to keep you in a good state of mind that they could take away from you?
Okay, I would say it's this. I've been hearing a lot of people say, I saw this one post that said, by the end of this quarantine, you better come out with like a new skill. And I actually really disagree with that. I don't think that's like a very healthy thing to like preach, because there's some people out there who actually have less time. There's some people who are just freaking out right now. Like there's people who like their mental health is just not in the best place because they can't go out and be with people, be at the gym and stuff like that. So I would say it's don't look at this and say that you have to do something that's gonna like help you take your mind off of things and stuff like that, because I feel like that's just gonna create like so much pressure. However, there is one skill that I think everybody can try to work on that is going to make you feel little bit better. And I think it's something that a lot of people aren't going to expect for me to say or even hear, and that's try to become a better storyteller. And the reason why I say this is because when you try to when you try to become a better storyteller, and it's interesting too because Kobe Bryant, like if you guys knew about like him post career, that's what he called himself. He called himself a storyteller, and what that does is that allows you to really live in the moment. So what I want everybody to do is by the end of the day, I want you guys to be able to write like 2 or 3 sentences of something significant that happened to you by the end of the day. And what that's going to do is it's going to help you be more in the moment. It's going to make you look at the learning lesson of the day. It's going to make you just find the beauty in every little thing possible. Then you're going to have more memories. You're not going to have that life where you just say, damn, like everything just went by so quick. And like, I just blinked and now I'm like 40 years old. I don't even know where the time went. It's going to be so terrible if we're the generation that tells people that, hey, when we were stuck at home quarantined, all we did was watch Netflix, you know, like as opposed to maybe we could tell all these really cool, awesome stories about things that we experienced. So you doing this thing, I call it homework for life. That's where you just write 3 sentences at the end of the day. It's going to make you a better storyteller. If you're a better storyteller, you're going to be a pleasure to be around. You're gonna be a great conversationalist. People are gonna be more uh, uh, attracted to you. They're gonna love hearing the things that you have to say. You're gonna be a lot funnier. You're gonna have more chemistry, and you're gonna be able to just like finally look back on your life when it's all said and done, and just remember all those beautiful times. You'll be able to pull up your phone, check March 31st or whatever, or March 30th, and see a few words, and it's gonna bring you back to that day. You're gonna remember everything about it, and you're gonna realize that, man, I had a beautiful life.
Damn, that's solid.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
gonna call you Juan the Professor. Forget about the chosen one.
That's amazing, man. That is true words right there. That's definitely going to come out here, and everyone's going to see that. That was thank you for that.
Thank you for having me, you guys.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Please have a great rest of the day, man.
Yeah, you guys too, and good luck with your show, man. I think you guys have something really awesome going on, and just stick with it. You guys are dope. You guys ask good questions. I could tell you guys were well prepared and stuff like that. It seems like you guys have been doing this for a while already. So yeah, if you guys stay consistent, I could see you guys having some bigger guests than me one day.
I appreciate it, man.
You're a pleasure to have on the show, man, and meet.
Dope for sure. Thank you guys.
Cool.
Have a great one, brother.
All right, see ya.